days, diving teams have battled against waters, limited visibility and emotional exhaustion, leading the discovery of 3 police officers who were found dead at the Hennops River. So while their bodies and the car have been recovered, the search for answers continues. Today, I'm very excited to be speaking to Marcel van Staden as well as Paul Cullumbine, who were swift water rescue technicians and divers who were part of that operation. They've had to navigate those waters together with their colleagues with specialized tools, the safety protocols that they need to follow, and the psychological weight of such a difficult task. To you both, gentlemen, it really is a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Morning. Morning. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, fortunately, for some of the days, I'd watched as you, the divers, and other, parts of the rescue team, battled, to look for, the bodies of these constables, and also, the mammoth task that we saw unfold as you tried to, recover the vehicle that these police officers had been traveling in. Perhaps, let me start with you, Marcel. I mean, what goes into an operation of this nature? I personally could not imagine myself in those waters and how it is you need to be incredibly careful to also make sure that what you're doing also does not put your life in danger.
Yes, it is a very, very dangerous operation. That's why it's better to have as many people as possible. That's why we were around 10 people in the water the whole time with a vehicle, moving around, making sure that everyone's safe. And if someone had to go downstream, there were people as well set up to make sure nothing would happen to them. But it was a big collaboration on everyone's parts, from subs who provided most of the equipment and the manpower with us, from Tshwane Emergency, and then guys from Search and Rescue South Africa and other volunteer groups that assisted.
And I mean, Paul, I guess you'd share the same sentiments. We're showing some of those visuals, on our television screens right now. And I mean, the strength that it must take, working hours and hours and hours and hours. And the only time that you guys took a break was when it was dark. But you'd been searching for hours on end, just watching you also, together with the heavy machinery that had been brought in, having to lift the vehicle out of the water and try and ensure that it is locked onto, what was being pulled from that tow truck. Talk us through that. This is absolutely incredible, and we don't get to see this often.
Yeah, I think everybody at that point in time is focused. Once we found and heard that the vehicle has been located, or a vehicle has been located, you go into a certain frame of mind. So you are focused on the function ahead of you. So even though you've been working for a long time, and there's other colleagues that have been working earlier through the week as well, searching for the bodies and so on, your physical state of mind goes into a certain way where you are focused, that you don't worry about being tired and so on. You push through and you just carry on. You want to get the job done.
And the conditions, Paul, the conditions that you have to traverse. If those waters are able to sweep away a vehicle kilometers down, the human body itself is obviously much lighter. The territory that you also have to traverse is insane.
Well, look, it's unknown. It's unknown. The waters, they are forever changing. The undercurrents, the rocks, and your territory that you're walking on is always forever changing. So it's an ability. You have to adapt. That's just the way it is, and we are trained for that. We go through a lengthy training process, and we do refreshers and so on, which are vital in this type of operation.
Yeah, and I think in this case, Marcel, the vehicle had been submerged for quite some time, before the retrieval, of course. I mean, how did those factors like water depth, the current, visibility, affect your approach?
So there was absolutely no visibility. By the point that we located the vehicle, we were standing on top of it, and it was about not even half a meter below the water, but you couldn't even see the color of you can't even see the shape of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So we started to pulling parts off the vehicle or trying to lift up parts to see if it is a vehicle or if it's just another object or something like that. And the whole time you have to focus on not going downriver or not going in the stronger currents or in the deeper sections, and keeping yourself and the whole team safe as well, because it was the river was flowing very strong at that point, and it was still very deep right next to the vehicle where we recovered it. So it was a challenge.
Yeah, and Paul, in terms of the technology, I mean, we saw heavy machinery being brought in. This is not something that can be done just with the bare hands. You need specialized equipment to be brought in. How did that assist the process, to give strength to actually bring that vehicle to surface?
Well, luckily for us, the vehicle was in such a way where we could use the heavy machinery, that the crane.
Yes.
If there was no other crane available, we would have had to look for alternatives. Maybe try and relocate the vehicle in such a way, using other equipment, diving equipment and so on, lifting bags and so on, with certain weights and so on, to maybe relocate the vehicle further downstream where there was a better opening, that recovery vehicles could have maybe possibly gotten closer to the river's bank itself. So we would have crossed that if we hadn't succeeded now the way we did. I think that the alternative.
Yeah, and I mean, how do you get keep your hopes alive? I guess, Paul, in this instance, because I mean, remember the first location that we'd all gone to in the morning. There was an initial belief that there was something there. And then at some point after the tree was removed, I saw you all get out of the water, and I thought, okay, it's not going to be a successful day. And, at that particular point, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, how do you keep that? Because it's hours, it's grueling hours, it's exhaustion, it's cold, it's limited oxygen in some instances where there are prolonged searches in other instances as well. I mean, how do you keep that?
I think, again, it comes down to being focused. It's a state of mind that you have to be in, and you've got fellow colleagues and so on with you, it's a team effort. You all push through, and it's motivating and motivation throughout the group, and we talk and we push through it, and it's a state of mind. You just have to carry on. The job needs to be done. We push through.
Yeah, and psychologically, I guess, Marcel, psychologically, consistently, time and time again, yes, this is a particular case that, the entire country got to watch. But there are many other instances, where you have to perform the very same as you did just the other day. How do you psychologically prepare for something like this, And especially in instances where, the situation is tragic, there is loss of life.
So it's difficult when it comes to rivers and swift water. It sometimes is all about recovery instead of the rescue, because it tends to happen so quickly that there's no time. It is unfortunate. There are many cases. We've been in the Hennops times before. We've been in the Hennops River many times before. It does happen. It's not always in the news or in the media, but these kinds of searches are not just for certain people or certain things. This happens for everyone. These searches go on behind the curtains without anyone knowing, and the rescuers just keep doing it every day. The guys from SABC and GPG Rescue as well. First road assist, guys are going and seeing the same visuals, and dealing with the same stress, and they just push along, and the camaraderie and the brotherhood amongst the services is a big factor. It helps.
And I mean, I think that's certainly something that we all got to witness is how, the teamwork really assisted. You really have to have each other's backs when you are in those, in those very difficult situation. Perhaps yourself, Paul, I mean, how do you prepare, mentally, for something like this? You do it consistently, but, the world or South Africans hardly get to see something like this at such close range.
Yeah, it's difficult to answer that question because each scenario, each scene is different to the next. Yes, you're working in water and so on. It comes down to physically, I think, preparing yourself. That that you are in search of a victim, a object, a body, or whatever the case might be. You are focused on that search, that you actually go into a how can I call it, a search phase where you push everything else aside and you push forward and you carry on with that.
It's sort of an autopilot.
Yeah.
Sure. You're really traversing into spaces or even waters. You don't know what is going to happen. But I must say, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. And I must say, continue to do such phenomenal work. We're incredibly proud of you as a country for the work that you've done. We never get to say it, very often. Sometimes we are not there, but we know that this is the kind of work that is put in all the time. You're saving lives, or you're trying to, assist other agencies to get to the bottom of whatever incidents that you may be dealing with. And you're a very integral part of that team. Thank you very much, Marcel van Staden, as well as Paul Cullumbine, talking to us about the work that goes into diving when searching for missing persons in waters, or if there's something that they need to recover. They're, of course, having been part of teams that have dealt with so many incidents before, and it's incredible to watch how the teams have got to work together in trying to ensure that the operations that they're involved in are a success.